good? How you
Hi.
feeling? How you feeling? How you?
I'm good. How are
I'm good.
you?
Can't complain. I want you to introduce yourself, but before you introduce yourself, I want to give a shout out to my boy Larry. He actually bought some merch. You know what I'm saying? And he bought the dopest merch out. I got merch for days. So I just want to let y'all know that. I want you to introduce yourself and let them know who you are.
So, first of all, I want to say thank you for having
Oh,
me.
no problem.
I love your
Thank
podcast.
you.
It's so cool. I like everything that you talk about, all the topics that, just get me going. Thank you. So my name is Tanish Marie.
Hmm.
I am a mindset coach, so life coach, but I specialize in mindset.
Okay.
I like to refer to myself as the shadow whisperer.
Ooh, I like
So
that. I like that. That's fire.
So what that thank you. What that means is like, so I saw you posted the other day that you offer shadow work, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Right. So my business is geared towards that too. Like we dive heavy into discovering your shadows, opening you up,
Hmm.
so you can become your most authentic self.
Hmm.
So that's why I call myself the shadow whisperer, because I'm able to see things in people that they can't see in themselves.
Mm.
And I'm able to bring that forth, help them heal so they can move on to the next
I
level.
lo-
So I do mindset coaching, and I'm also an author as well. I write books. My second book is coming out on Friday,
okay.
and my first book is going to be up and
Oh
published.
yeah, so
So
that's dope.
yeah.
Number one is congratulations on your second book. That's what I'm talking about. I
Thank
like to
you.
hear that.
Thank
I
you.
like to
Thank
hear that. I
you.
like people that's
Thank you.
ambitious, you know what I'm saying? And you doing your thing. I definitely
Thank
respect
you.
that. Keep up the good work. You know what I'm saying? What makes you do this though? What drives you to do like get into shadow work? Like where that came from? Like why did you jump into that?
So okay, this is like a little different. First of all, I'm very
Mm,
spiritual.
okay.
I'm very heavy. I'm very heavy into the, I guess, what people want to call the occult. But so I'm very in tune with myself. And what really pushed me over the edge was the fact that I had a tremendous loss. I lost my grandmother, who is also my mother, because I was adopted,
Hmm.
and I lost her at the beginning of COVID. And for a lot of us, a lot of our life, we're operating on autopilot and we don't even know. You
That's
know,
true.
we're going to work every day, right? We're going to work every day. We're hanging out with friends. We're partying. We're doing all these things, but we're not realizing that we're not actually living in our true divine
Hmm.
purpose. And to me, the whole meaning to life is like there's something that you have within inside of you that's special, something that's your own special innate gift, something that you have to share with the world in order for other people to wake themselves up. So I had to realize like life can't just be just doing this. Like I didn't go through everything that I went through just to be partying, just to be hanging out.
Hmm.
Like that can't be the meaning to life. If so, why the hell are we still here?
I agree with you.
You know what I
I
mean?
definitely agree with you.
So,
I definitely agree with you.
right,
Cause I've been there.
right. So I had to wake up.
I,
I had to wake up. I had to wake up. And I just basically, I actually got to see, this might sound scary to some people, but for me, um, I walked in as my grandma was passing away.
hmm.
So, like, as soon as I got in, she left. So, imagine walking in on somebody as they're taking their last breath. So, I'm at the door and she's taking her last breath. And so, I'm walking in and I'm saying, hey, and she's gone. And so, to me, that just jump started my whole journey. But I've always been very self-aware.
Hmm.
I just didn't delve into it as much as I have now. But I realized that there's something about me that everybody needs to know. And I started from a background of um, makeup artistry. I've been in the fashion
Okay.
industry. I've been doing makeup for 10 years. And pre-COVID, that's what I did. I did with my life. And all my clients, you're working face to face. And COVID, we don't know how it's going to operate. So all my clients like literally left. you know.
Yeah.
So I had to really buckle down, like, yo, I love makeup, but am I truly happy? Now, is it feeding my soul? It wasn't feeding my soul. So I'm like, okay. Now I noticed that every single time that one of my clients is in the chair, they're always like, yo, T, you always know what to say. You always know how to talk to me. You always know the right things to make me feel. You always know what I don't think about myself is like you pull it forward. And I'm like, yo, how can I monetize off of this and feed my soul at the same time? You know? So I'm like coaching because I love to talk, but I like coaching because people have to come to me.
I get that.
And I don't necessarily like talking to just random people because a lot of people can't relate to me, but coaching allows people to come to me. That means that you're seeking my guidance versus me actually talking to a whole bunch of people that's not listening.
I agree. I
You know?
definitely agree with you. See, you want to know why I tapped into basically shadow work is because, like you said, it came from a loss. I lost a lot of things in my life. It was to the point that the darkness consumed me. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah. Yeah.
it was like that. It's either I could jump off this cliff, you know what I'm saying, in life, or I sit there and find the
Yeah.
light. So being in the dark, I became the light. You know what I'm saying? And yeah,
Absolutely.
so and then when I get around people, like you said, when I got around people, people notice that I tap into their mindset, I tap into their energy, I actually give them the right type of guidance to get them out of their situation. And then after I do that, they feel good about themselves. Because you know what I realized? I
Right.
realized that in life, sometimes we get in our own way. You know what I'm saying? If we take a moment just to stay in the moment and really think about what we're going through, we can really tap into that energy and make a change. It's all about self-improvement. And the
Absolutely.
problem is now these days, we don't really take time to self-improve. We always out there to help others to the point that we drain ourselves and become empty shells. And that's where stress and depression and all that stuff come. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of my questions too I have for you
Absolutely.
too. You know what I'm saying? I have a question, which
Mm.
is when you go through stress, what inspires you to keep going?
Um, so I look at things very differently. So to me, stress equals stress is the body's way of like, you know, like the soul actually, you know what your soul wants. Your soul always knows what you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
But stress comes from the fact that you know what your soul wants, but your body doesn't want to listen.
Okay.
And I'm past that point of not listening to my body.
Mm-hmm.
That's how far I am. So as far as stress, while I'm human, yeah, I'm gonna experience the emotion or the feeling of it, but I don't live in it because I quickly turn it around and I'm like, if I'm stressed, even if I start feeling a little type of tension or something, I'm like, no. There's something that I'm not listening to.
Okay.
And so I tap in. Automatically I tap in. And I'm like, okay, what is my soul telling me? Because my soul knows the answers. I know what I'm supposed to be
Mm-hmm.
doing. And so stress is just created from me trying to fight myself, my inner knowing of what I already know to be true. So the best answer to that is I just surrender.
You surrendered to,
And then there's no more
so
stress.
you basically surrendered to the emotion, and then you ask yourself why you going through what you're going through. So basically, you tap in
That
with yourself. I say this all the time. See, we in tune. You see that? We definitely in tune. I like that. You know what I'm saying? Because
yeah,
I do the
yeah.
same thing. I tell people like you gotta feel the emotion because the moment that you suppress that emotion, that's the moment it's gonna keep
Mm-hmm.
messing with you. You know what I'm saying? So you have to
That,
surrender to the
that,
emotion, but don't stay in it. Do not live in it. You have to sit there, understand
no.
why you're going through that. Take accountability why you going
Mm-hmm.
through that. And then from there, you got to work on
Mm-hmm.
uh, a plan on how to get out of that emotion. You know what I'm saying? I tell people
Absolutely.
to tap in. You got all the answers. You know what I'm saying? You're a walking library. You just got to tap in and pick that lock. You know what I'm saying? That's
Absolutely. 100%. I 100% agree
that's a
with you.
fact.
That's so true.
What is
Yeah.
a belief or principle or code that you live by?
Um, I would say I live by a bunch of them, but I guess the main one I would say is that um, your soul knows everything. Your soul knows what you need. Not even you have the authority to question it.
Okay.
That's what I believe. because it's like, okay, yeah, like we were just talking about, you can look outside yourself all you want,
Yeah.
right? And looking outside of myself never got me nowhere. But inside of other people's perceptions of me, other people's thoughts of me, other people's views of me, other people's fears about me, that do not serve my highest good. So I guess the main thing is always remembering that everything is in here. It's in here. You know, I don't need to search outside for
I
anything.
like that. I definitely like that answer.
Yeah.
That is definitely true. Everybody always tends to get advice from others people, but they don't never ask themselves how can, like, they never really tap in with themselves and ask that question of how can you get to the next level? Why I feel this way? Why I go through this? You know what I'm saying? Because I had a
Mm-hmm.
session one time with somebody, and I was telling them like shadow work as well. I was telling them like, look, you got all the
Yeah.
answers, right? All the answers is within you. But what I'm doing is I'm bringing it out and I'm making you aware of all the answers that you have in you. You know what I'm saying? People need to learn
Right.
how to trust themselves, because we living in a world sometimes where I hear a lot of people say they don't trust themselves. And but my thing
Mm-hmm.
is, how you gonna trust others, right? But you don't trust yourself. That's crazy, right? You
Absolutely.
can't. It's the law of attraction.
Absolutely.
You can't get the respect if
Mm-hmm.
you don't give yourself that respect. You know what I'm saying? It's all
Mm-hmm.
about law of attraction, and people don't understand that. People got to understand that sometimes in life things gonna happen, but it's all about how you react to what happened. You know what I'm
Facts.
saying?
Facts.
A lot
Facts.
of people got to
Mm-hmm.
understand that. Do you believe in marriage? And if you do you ever want to get married one day?
Um. I listen. It's a very complicated answer
Nah,
for me.
be honest. Don't
Um.
worry about. Don't listen.
No, I'm always be honest.
Listen, cause I've
I'm
been
always
married
be honest.
before, and trust me, I don't want to get married again. I'll give you my perspective in a minute, but nah, I don't want to be married again. But I want to hear your answer.
So I was almost married. I was
Okay.
engaged. Um. Now, I don't necessarily. I'm not. I never been one of those girls that was like, oh my god, I can't wait till I get older. Wear that white dress. Go to. I never been one of those girls who was like in a relationship. Oh, he got to give me a ring. Never was one of those girls. Never thought of marriage as like the end all be all. Never thought of that. To me, what was most important was finding a partner that I was emotionally and spiritually aligned with. You
Yeah, I
know,
get that.
that's what always mattered to me the most. And so, as far as like believing in marriage and thinking I need it, no, I don't really need it. However, if I was to find someone who was spiritually aligned with me, who was emotionally aligned with me, who had like, whose emotional intelligence was just on par with mine, who was just, they just knew
Okay.
themselves. You know what
Yeah,
I
I get
mean?
what you're saying.
So that, and they were an individual. Like, I need to marry an individual. I don't want to marry somebody that needs me. I want to marry somebody that wants me, so that we're our own person coming into
Hmm.
this, and you know we're our own person if we decide to leave
I
it.
get that.
But I don't want to have to be like, oh, my husband, he just needs me. He can't do anything without
Yeah,
me.
that's
No,
crazy.
I want us to be two
Yeah.
individuals coming together to build something great. I strongly believe in the masculine energy and the feminine energy coming together to be something amazing. You know what
Yeah,
I
I get
mean?
that.
And those two lean on each other.
Yeah, I get that. See,
Yeah.
I was about to. That's a question I have later on, but you beating me to the question about masculine and feminine energy. You know what I'm saying? But since you want
Yes.
to bring that up, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get straight to that question. What is your definition of a
Okay.
submissive woman?
A submissive woman. Wow. Um, I don't necessarily like the whole term submissive, but I understand
Hmm.
it. Um, I would say trusting if I had to speak for myself.
What?
I would say
Why you
trusting
say trusting? That's interesting.
because I feel like trusting and submissive kind of go hand in hand,
Hmm.
right? If I'm going to be submissive, that means I have to trust,
That's true.
right? I have to trust you to lead. I have to trust you to guide me. I have to trust that you're not going to guide me into a hole or to a ditch or somewhere that's going to take our finances to a whole nother level where we're broke. You know what I
Yeah, I
mean?
get that.
So like I feel like you need to be, if you're gonna be submissive, it could work all around. It could work in the bedroom, it could work with finances, it could work with the kids, whatever. But I need to trust my
I
partner.
get that.
That's the only way I'm gonna be submissive. And then also, as a divine feminine, that's my nature. My nature is not to be masculine.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? My nature is not to be rough or like super loud or super crazy. My natural nature is to be submissive, calm. It's to feel calm within my femininity. And a lot of times in relationships, I had to operate out of my masculine energy because my feminine energy didn't feel safe,
I get that.
didn't feel trusted.
I
Yeah,
get
I didn't
that.
trust the masculine to lead
Hmm.
me. So I had to become the masculine because we have duality, right? So you have feminine and masculine energy. So do I. But we use them interchangeably depending on the
I
situation.
get that.
So being submissive to me is like I need to trust my partner because I do want to be feminine. I want to be around my man and I want to feel safe.
I,
And I want to say, I want to speak in a soft voice. You know what I mean? I don't want to feel charged up all the time.
I get that.
You know, I don't like living in that energy because it's not where I was born. I was born as a feminine in a surrounding that is geared towards soft femininity, calmness. That's my
I get
nature.
that.
That's every female's nature. But we have the masculinity and we tap into it more when we don't feel safe.
But you know what's crazy that you say that is because I'm glad that you say you want to feel safe, you want to feel protected, and you want the guy to basically lead you into the next level, basically, right? And
Yeah,
then you were saying that you sometimes used to operate in masculinity, right? Energy, right? Now
absolutely.
my thing is, you said something about you don't like doing that because you know your nature is basically feminine, right? And I respect that.
Yeah,
One thing I learned about women is some men don't understand that if you don't lead properly, you know what I'm saying? The respect level is going to change because now she got to take on your role. You know what I'm saying?
right.
And it's like I tell people like this. This is what I tell people. I said, in order to build a strong foundation, right, in a relationship between a woman and man, a woman is the emotional being, right? And a man is a logical being.
Mhm.
Not saying that women cannot tap into logic because they can, but
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
but women first nature is emotion, right?
right.
And I tell people that in order for a man to communicate with a woman, he have to understand her emotions. That's number one. In
Facts.
order for a woman to communicate with a man, she have to understand the man mindset. And once you do that, the communication
Absolutely.
level is perfect.
It's key.
Yeah. But right now,
Trust me, I know.
yeah, see, see, right now we living in a time where it's so bickeries, people going at each other is because they don't take the time to get to know their partner. You know what I'm saying? I understand. I tell
No.
people like number one, the first thing that you should ask your partner is what is your love language? How do you want to be loved?
Oh my God, that's so on point. So on
Yeah,
point.
see, and that's why I wanted you on this podcast is because I felt like honestly, like when you give your answers, I'm like, nah, she tapped in. She tapped in. Like
Hmm.
you a different being. Like you
Yeah,
strong. You know what I'm saying? So people got to come to you correct if they trying to talk to you. You know what I'm saying?
absolutely,
And that's
absolutely.
what I tell people. I'm like, you really have to tap in and you gotta own. If you're a woman, you gotta own your feminine side. You know what I'm saying? But if you meet somebody, if you
Yeah.
meet a person that's not masculine enough, it's okay. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? That may be not the person for you. You know what I'm saying? Because eventually you're gonna lose attraction for somebody they not if they don't know how to how can I say it, lead properly. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Right. No, no, you're absolutely right. And to piggyback off that, um, somebody in the comments said personal duality needs to be reached, and that's 100% true because when you're on, like, you're always going to be in a season alone,
Yes.
right? You have your season of solitude, and that's the season of solitude that you take to understand yourself, that you take to break down your shadows, and then you come forth and then you try to create relationships wherever. However, um, you know, like I said, we have the feminine energy, and then we have the masculine energy. You have to master those within yourself first before you can get in a relationship. So just like what you were saying earlier about how the woman has to understand the man's point of view, the logic side, and then the guy has to understand the emotional side. A lot of times it doesn't work is because the man is too logical and not tapped in enough to his femininity, which is the emotional side. So he needs to do that by himself first, so that when he does meet a divine feminine who has mastered her duality, she can recognize those things within him, and he can recognize those things within himself. And so that's what we were saying. When those two come together and they both understand those sides, it's because they both understand those sides within themselves before they came together.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So that they can recognize it in each
Yes.
other. That's how the communication is like on par. You know?
I agree with you 100%. That's definitely true. Like you have to, like I put a question up, right? Since I do question of the day, because I want to tap into how people think and their perspective on things. And it was a question basically
Right.
saying that do you think that people should get into relationships if they don't got their stuff together? It was, you see your face?
Hell no.
I said it.
Okay, look. Go ahead.
I said the same thing. I agree with you.
Okay, this is the thing, right? Let's just say, okay, this is my experience. I've always been like a very independent person. So like I always got my own stuff going on. So I never had to really lean on nobody. Cool, whatever. But sometimes you meet a man and he might be intimidated by you. And he might say, "Oh, like, you know, you got something going on." And he really might want you because of everything that you embody. Oh, she's strong. She got this. She got that. Whatever. But then as soon as they get with you, they like, "Oh, I didn't know that she was really like this." You know what I mean? So I think yes, you definitely have to have your shit together. But as long as you have your mindset together, everything else can come together. So let's say you work in a regular job. Cool. You starting up your business, and you might not be where you want to be, right? But you're doing something. But your mindset is on top. It's on point. Your mindset is going to get you there. You can have $1 million mindset, but not where you want to be. So I feel like as long as you have that mindset that you're connected spiritually, you're connected with your goals, you understand how everything works interchangeably in your life, and you know where you're going, I don't really have to necessarily look at you, look at your net worth, look at what you got going on like that. I'm going to look into that first, into your mindset. And I'm going to say, cool, this is somebody that no matter what is going on right now, the mindset is going to get us where we need to be.
I like that.
That's just how I feel.
I like that.
You know, because if you don't have the mindset, you can have $1 million and not have the mindset. Those people don't remain millionaires.
Wait, go back. Say that again. What you mean? What you mean they don't remain millionaires?
I say you could be a millionaire and not have the mindset.
Oh, I get what you're saying now.
So like, right, like you know, some people do quick schemes or whatever. Not schemes, but like they do things quick, especially seeing stuff on social media. They're like, okay, what can I sell to get $1 million? They get $1 million. You know, do their promotion, whatever. But their mindset's still not there. Now they got to think of how to get another $1 million. And it's because you're not creating enough passive income. You wasn't thinking ahead when you started.
Yeah, that's a fact.
So now it's like you working backwards.
That's a fact.
You know?
That's a fact.
So
I definitely agree with you. See, I got a son and a daughter, and my son is only 9 years old, and it's so cool how he be telling me. He be like, "Dad," he said. I asked him, I was like, "What you want to be when you grow up?" He was like, "I want to own a business." I was like, "What?" He was like, "Yeah." And he told me, he was like, "Look," I said, "So how do you operate a business?" So he told me, "Look, I buy something for cheap, right?" And he was like, "What I do is I buy something for cheap, but I double the price. Then I flip that. Then from there, I take that money and I invest into creating my LLC." I'm like, hold on. 9 years old. Are you talking like that?
Okay.
I'm gonna have to groom this little boy. You know what I'm saying? He's a smart young
Okay.
man. So you're right about that. That mindset. I see a lot of people. Let's just say, most of those people that hit the lotto, right? Some
Yeah,
majority of them is broke today. You know why? Because like you said, everything boils
exactly.
you down to the mindset. You know what I'm saying? I always preach that. Educate yourself. Learn every day. Feed your brain like you feed your stomach. You gotta want this knowledge. Cause
Mhm.
and not only that you want the knowledge, but you gotta apply the knowledge. A lot of people
Mhm.
don't understand that in order to have knowledge and wisdom, you have to put it into use. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I tell people you got to tap in and self improve. You know what I'm saying? I see a lot of people go
Mhm.
through stress and depression in this world. You know what I'm saying? This is the reason why I created this podcast is because I want people to heal. I want people to grow. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I do. And then I noticed that you said that you got your own book, you got your own podcast and stuff like that. I want people to go to your podcast and I want you to sit there and mention where they can find you at because we need this in the world. You understand? More people like minded like this to change the world. You know what I'm saying? You doing
Absolutely.
what I'm doing and I'm doing what you doing. You know what I'm saying? That's like minds. You know
Right.
what they call
Right.
us? Light workers. You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
that's a lot of people
Absolutely.
don't know about that term, light workers. You know what I'm saying? They call it we light
Absolutely.
workers. So we try to build people up. So I just before we continue with the next question, I want you to drop where they could find you at because that's important. I want them to come to you as well. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so you guys can find me at Divine Thriving on Spotify. That's my podcast.
Mm-hmm.
You guys can also book with me on LinkedIn at Tanisha Marie, and you can book me through there if you want to come for a consultation or any sort of coaching or you want to ask any questions. I'm also on YouTube at Divine Thriving as well, and then you could also find me on Facebook.
Yeah, I hear that, y'all. Y'all better go check her out. Stop playing. Go check her out.
Thank
You know what I'm
you.
saying? We got one more question and then we're gonna close it up. But I love the energy. You gotta come back again. You just blessed my show.
I would love
I
to.
like
I would
I
love
like
to.
that because you notice that I'm changing up the feel of things. At first, I used to have like another member with me and stuff like that, but I wanted to revamp it and give people they one-on-one energy to get their stuff out there because I realized that podcasting actually like people buy into the person before they buy into the brand. You get what I'm saying? So I want to give
Absolutely.
people the opportunity to show who they are so people could buy into you.
Mhm.
Because when I came across your stuff, I'm
Fact.
like, yo, me and you like minded, and I like to see that. And I'm one of those type of people that embrace people that's doing what they love to do. You know what I'm saying? So
Right,
the
right, right.
last question is, you know what I'm saying? I was gonna skip over it, but what's the difference from a commitment in a relationship than a commitment in a marriage?
Why, wait, I'm gonna answer your question, but why was you gonna skip over it?
The reason why I was gonna skip over it because we already passed it. Like I'm jumping back and forth. I don't like to
Oh,
flip flop, so that's the reason why. But
got
yeah,
you.
so what's the difference from commitment in a marriage than a commitment in a relationship?
A commitment in a marriage and a commitment in a relationship. Wow. Okay. Hmm.
That's tough.
Oh, let's see. Yeah, that's
Uh,
tough.
I say, if you want my honest opinion, I honestly say
Yes.
it's no different. I feel like it's just legal. That's it. It's just that you sign like a marriage certificate and y'all legally responsible for each other. But other than that part, it's no difference to me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the way I look at it too. I feel like this. If you in a relationship, especially with me, like it's we committed to each other, period. If you don't want to be committed, just say that.
Exactly.
Like, I'm a big girl. Like,
Exactly. Truth.
but if we in a marriage, and we sign papers, um, yeah, like you said, it's just it's literally the same thing, but with papers involved. Because I expect the same loyalty in a relationship that I would in a marriage. I mean, it's a little different, but I want the same loyalty. I want the same respect. I want the same care. I want the same emotions. Like that's what I want.
I
So
get that.
yeah.
I get that. See, I love your energy, yo. I definitely love it. You gotta keep this
Thank
gotta keep
you.
this up. And I told y'all playing right now. Go follow her. Book a session with her.
Absolutely. Come on
Come
over.
over.
Y'all can find my book in my bio on my page. And also let me shout somebody out real quick in the
Oh, go
comments.
do your thing.
This is my homegirl. This is my homegirl, Ashley Alvarez. She's in the comments. She's a light worker and healer as well. So if you're looking for any metaphysical needs, y'all can go to her and shop her Etsy shop because she really, let me tell you something, my sister be doing her thing,
That's what I
okay?
like
She
to
be
hear.
doing her thing.
I like to hear that. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah,
the energy. That's what I'm talking about.
absolutely.
Shout out
Yeah.
to all the light workers. What's up? We got to build a family, y'all. What's up?
Facts.
Like,
Facts.
shout out to all the light workers. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Ashley,
Absolutely.
what's up? You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. I got a closing message, and I want you to give her a closing message too when you get a chance. Everyone has
Sure.
their own lane to get to a bag. Don't let no one discourage you for going after your dreams. That's my closing message.
Facts.
How about you?
My closing message is what I always say at the end of all my podcasts. I'm just a divine being having a human experience. So I would never subject myself to these worldly views of the way that the world is and put myself in that energy. So I want everybody that's watching, that's going to see this, to remember that you're just a divine being having a human experience, and that whatever you're going through right now, you're bigger than that. Because the way you came into the world, that was a whole miracle in itself.
Yes.
So just think about
Yes.
that.
I tell everybody it's a learning experience. It's a learning experience. So y'all gotta enjoy the moment. Whatever you're going through, it's just the moment. You understand? It's just the moment. You know what I'm saying?
And shout out to Jay too. Shout out to him.
That's my boy. Yeah, shout out to my boy. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my boy Jesse. Shout out to him. That's definitely one of my boys from the mud. Like we grew up together, and I'm really proud of him. He's doing his thing, and he's definitely like a mentor to me. You know what I'm saying? So I respect him. You know what I'm saying? And Ashley, she got to come on this show too. She got to. You know what I'm saying? I want every light worker.
Y'all gotta have her.
Every light worker.
And you from Harlem too, huh? You from Harlem too, Rich? I ain't know you was from Harlem until the other day. I'm like, oh, we all from Harlem.
Yeah, Harlem gang. Harlem gang. You know what I'm saying?
Word.
Gang, and we all winning. That's what I like to hear. We all winning. You know what I'm saying? You doing your thing. My boy Jesse doing his thing. I'm doing my thing. And Ashley right there doing her thing. What up, Ashley? Keep doing your thing, light worker. You know what I'm saying? That's what I like to hear. I definitely like to hear that. Yeah, so we definitely gonna sit down and we're gonna do another podcast with y'all and all that. And I want you to shout out what you talk about on your podcast before we leave too. Like what topics that you discuss and stuff like that.
So on my podcast, it's pretty much very similar to yours. I talk about how to heal. I talk about getting out of your own way. I talk about not letting fear get in the way between you and your accomplishments and your goals. I talk about how to actually go deep and see what's blocking you from holding you hostage over those emotions that you don't necessarily want to feel. I talk about resisting change, resisting the inevitable. You have to change in order for growth to happen. I talk about all of that. And soon, I would love to have you on my podcast as well.
Set it up.
For sure.
Set it up.
For sure.
All right, so we're going to do this again. Thank you for coming out. That's one thing I want to tell you. Thank you for coming out. And I love the energy. Keep being that divine being that you are. You understand? That's what we're talking about.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you. And just to let you know how big this moment is, this is the first episode of me revamping my show.
Ooh.
Yeah, you blessed it.
Okay.
So this is a good start. You know what I'm saying? And Ashley, I told you whenever you come and we can sit there and set up a podcast episode for you too. You know what I'm saying? And I want you to come back on as well.
All right.
Definitely want you to come back on because you say your book is coming out.
You got it.
So I want you to.
Yeah, my second book.
I'm gonna purchase your book. I'm gonna read it, and after I read it, we're gonna talk about it on here. All right?
Oh my God, I love that.
That's the energy. That's what I'm talking about. All right. Thank you for coming out. Have a good night. Be safe.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.